morning, music lovers and songwriters and arrangers and all you music folks out there. My name is Fred with fredstickley.com. Well, fredstickleymusic.com. That's my website. The reason I'm here is I got to thinking the other day. I have written for horns, and I'm involved in 3 bands. One of them has four horns, a horn section of 4, and my jazz group has a horn section of 2. And I know that a lot of people like horns. It's really great. It's great for your performance, your live show, and they're a lot of fun. So I started looking around the internet, and I didn't see a lot of information on horns. I saw some, but not. I thought I could do a better job in showing you an easy way, something not too difficult to incorporate horns into your group. So I want to start small with 2 horns, which is very different from 3, 4, and 5 horns. 2 horns is kind of its own animal. And in my case, we have trumpet and tenor saxophone, and they double on flugel and flute. The tenor saxophone doubles on flute. Anyway, so let's begin with let's look at the trumpet for a minute, and let's figure out where let's talk about where the trumpet's range is. So here we have treble clef, and the trumpet can play down to an E and up to F and G, depending on the player actually. But usually I don't write trumpet high C, D. That's as high as I go. A lot of times if I get up to around C and D, that's pretty good. All that brilliant, really nice high R&B stuff that you hear on trumpet will be above the staff, starting at like F, G, above the staff. That's where that real cool R&B sound. But don't forget, trumpet sounds fabulous in the middle of its range. And you can use the 2 horns differently depending on where the trumpet sits, whether you're going to use octaves or thirds or sixes. I never write down to an E on the trumpet, even though it can play that note. I don't go any lower than usually B flat to up here is a good practical range. I don't write above a D or a C. If I'm going to have them hold out a note, C, D, right in there, that's plenty. I mean, every once in a while I have them pop a high note. On the tenor saxophone, let's do a bass clef. The tenor saxophone's lowest note, I believe, is an A flat, and we'll go up to, here's middle C, and we'll go up to an E flat. But I don't write them much more higher than a C, low C, middle C to high C. That's kind of where I like to write them. A little bit higher every once in a while. And so most of the time, especially if the trumpet's playing up in its higher range, I just write octaves. Sounds great. When the band's playing and cranked up and you hear the horn section come in, mainly you're going to hear the trumpet up there, and then the saxophone is going to support it quite nicely down an octave, and that'll sound big. I've written whole arrangements with just my horns, my trumpet and tenor in octaves, and it sounds terrific. Also very important to remember when you're writing your arrangement, make sure all your chord changes are set, because that's going to dictate a lot of technicalities, especially if you're writing in harmony and things like that. You want to make sure all your chords, and that's usually more critical with jazz. So if my trumpet gets up here up high, like I said, I'll put the tenor an octave down. If the trumpet's mainly in the staff, doesn't get too high, like E, let's say our trumpet plays, here's a good scenario for our trumpet. Let's say he's playing Do, Re, Mi. And let's say the chord is a C chord. Okay, all the white notes on the keys. He's low enough and in a good spot to where I could write the tenor a third below. So the tenor would play this, A, B, C. Okay, and there's the egg timer. Now, I have my egg timer because if I don't have, I set it at 5 minutes. I'm trying to keep my blogs concise. If I don't have an egg timer, then I'll just go off and it'll be a half hour go by like that. So that is the end of our first session, but let me finish this idea. So there is trumpet and tenor in thirds, and you could do that, or we could drop the tenor down to a sixth interval, which would be, there's C, that would be E, F, and G, and that would be a sixth interval, and that'll sound good too. It'll sound a little more open. Put the tenor down a little more in the middle of its range, a little more body, and they'll have a little different color. The other thing you want to remember when you're writing for horns is you write, or a lot of orchestral elements, unlike singing in a country western or a rock and roll band where you can put harmonies above the main melody and everything. With horns, you want a voice from the top down. So you figure out what your trumpet is going to be, and then you're going to figure out whether you want that in octaves or harmony, and then voice down. So next time we'll get more into that sort of thing. So thanks for coming by. Don't forget, it's Fred at fredstickleymusic.com. I'll put it on the lower third. And shoot me an email. We'd love to hear your comments. See you next time.